Hello, welcome to today's Motivational Monday class. So maybe you're watching this in the morning, but maybe not. Maybe you're watching it some other time of day. So today we're going to focus on working towards sitting comfortably in meditation. So first of all, before we do anything, the first thing I'd like to do is just get yourself into a seated position, or the sort of seated position that you might normally sit for if you were going to sit for meditation, and just notice how you feel. So that meditation posture could be just quite simply as I am here in Sukhasana or simple crossed legs, but you may like to sit more in Swastikasana, which is where we have the legs a little wider, the heels are one in front of the other, the heel nearest to you is towards the groin. Maybe you can sit in lotus, and you sit in lotus for meditation, in which case you can try that. Perhaps you find the cross-leg position not very comfortable or easy for you for whatever reason, and you may like to try sitting excuse me. So you may like to try sitting with your legs out straight, which is, in my opinion, actually quite hard, because you need more effort in your abdominals and your back to sit like this for any length of time. But your choice, and we're going to make it more comfortable as we go along. So just take your seat position and just settle yourself into it, and then close your eyes or just soften your gaze, and just notice how you're feeling in this position at the moment. And just noticing all the different things that you can notice about your body right now. Does your weight sit to one side? Raise your breath. What do you notice? What comes to your attention first? What do you feel interested in observing right now? Is there any areas of discomfort in your body? And if you usually sit with a slight raise underneath you, have you put that underneath you already, or how does it feel without it if you haven't put it there and you normally use it? How does your body feel in space? How much space can you feel yourself taking up in the room? Okay, and then you can just gently open your eyes, and if you want to stretch your legs out, you can. So if you found sitting that you tend to be a little bit sort of rounded in the back, and you find it really quite hard to stay sitting upright without kind of like holding on to your legs or leaning yourself back against the wall or something, try taking a blanket or a cushion and just sitting up on that, and that should help to gently tilt the pelvis forwards a little bit and maybe free up a little bit of space in the area of the back, and it may help you to perhaps sit a little bit more comfortably and maybe a little bit more upright. So especially for me, if I'm sitting for any length of time, I always make sure I've got a little bit of a raise underneath my seat. So you can pause now for a moment, and if you want to sit up on something, you can. And so just taking a moment now to, if you like, bring your hands together in front of your heart, if that feels appropriate and good for you. Take a moment now to make an intention for yourself for the class today. And then when you've made that intention, just gently bow your chin to your chest to acknowledge it. And you can relax your hands down. So we're going to come up into standing and just warm the body up a little bit so that we're not seated the whole time. And we're going to do joint mobilizations in the standing position. So stand yourself up nice and tall, ground your feet. You might like to just lift your feet up and down onto the floor a few times, maybe even walk about a little bit if you like. And then just then ground your feet and just really feel your feet in the ground. Standing up nice and tall and straight, and just noticing again your body, the feeling of your body in space. Noticing your breath now. So we're going to try and keep a little bit of softness in the knees, so they don't have to be bent exactly, but you certainly don't want to be stretching, like pushing into the backs of the knees. You want those knees to have softness, to have ease in them. And we're just going to take our awareness, first of all, into the head. So take your awareness up into the head. And kind of imagine that you've got an invisible string attached to the crown of your head. And it's just lightly pulling you up. So you start to get this nice kind of lifting up sensation from the crown of your head. And as you do that, make sure that your shoulders don't go up with it. That your shoulders stay nice and relaxed. And then just take a nice deep breath in. And as you exhale, just gently bring your chin down towards your chest. And as you inhale this time, raise your chin up above neutral, up towards the sky. I'm just going to keep going with that. So just noticing any sensations in your neck, noticing how it feels at the front, noticing how it feels at the back of your neck as you go both ways. And also noticing any sensations that you experience across your chest, shoulders, upper back. And just making a mental note of this. So after you've lifted your chin this time, and as you come back to neutral with the head, just pause here for a moment. And then we're just going to turn the head side to side. So just turning the head one way, as if to look over your shoulder, and then turning the head the other way. And you can find the breath that works for you here. You may like to exhale one way, inhale the other. You might prefer to exhale as you move the head, inhale as you come back to the center, or even the other way around. Inhale inhaling as you move head and exhaling as you come back to centre. Again, just experiment and find what's working for you. And as you're making this movement, try to be careful that you're not turning the chest as well. You're just turning the head and the neck, and then the shoulders and the chest are staying facing front. Yes, of course, there will be a little bit of movement, but keep it minimal. Not deliberately trying to, don't try to look behind you more and let the shoulders turn. Just take the head as far as it will go naturally. And perhaps observe that slight movement in the shoulders as it happens. But there's nothing, you're not trying to make the shoulders move. Okay, so we're going to pause there. And we're just going to roll the shoulders now. Nice big circles with the shoulders. Bring them forwards and up and back and down. And again, find your way with the breath with this. And try to really get your shoulder blades involved. So you're not just, you're really squeezing those shoulders back, letting them come forwards. So you might feel a little bit of rounding in the upper back as the shoulders come forward. And noticing also how this feels in your neck, in your chest, perhaps even lower down, in the belly, in the back. And then you can leave that, let the shoulders go. Let's do a little bit of work with the hands. So just squeeze the hands into fists and then stretch the fingers out wide, squeeze them into fists, stretch them out wide. And you can do this in many different positions. You might like to do it with your elbows close to your waist, or the hands, the palms down either, or palms up. You can try both because it feels a little different, so do feel free to try both. You'll be working different muscles if you do hands down, palms down, or palms up. So just notice. And even you could do this with the arms stretched out at shoulder height. That's also, again, as well, if you want to try palms up, palms down, a bit both, maybe just stretching out the fingers. And then we're just going to flick the fingers. So let's tuck the thumbs onto the palms and just wrap your fingers around. And I'm going to choose today to tuck my elbows towards my waist and have my hands like this, but you could do them with them straight out. And if this is uncomfortable, you can maybe even try doing it down like this. So just make some circles from your wrists. Try to keep it from the wrists so that your forearms are not moving. You're not really moving the forearms. You're really moving from the wrists only. And then after you've done a few going this way, then you can go back the other way. And then stretching your palms so that they're flat. And as you inhale, just facing the palms forward, so you're bringing your fingers back towards your body. And as you exhale, palms face back towards your body, so the fingers are pointing down to the floor now. So here the fingers are facing up towards the ceiling, and exhaling as they point down towards the floor. And again, trying as much as possible to keep the forearms still, so we're not moving the elbows, we're just moving from the wrists as much as we can. Good. And then you might like to just give your shoulders and hands a little shake up. So have your hips about, your feet, sorry, about hip width apart, and just you might like to rest your hands on your hips, and going to bend the knees a little bit, so make sure you've got a little bit of a bend in the knees. And we're just going to start to make circles with the hips. You can kind of imagine that you are drawing a circle around your feet with your pelvis. And then you can go back the other way a few times. And then come back to stillness. And we're going to bend the knees a little deeper now and put the hands just on the thighs. As we inhale, we're going to lift the chest forward. You can look up slightly so you're arching back here. And then as you exhale, rounding the back, tucking the chin in. So as far as possible, try and keep your legs fairly still. So you're really just moving the upper body. So just nice little bit of flexion for the spine. Flexing and rounding. You can do this faster if you like, or slower. Find a pace that suits you. And then you can come up slowly and pause. So we're just going to do a little bit of movement now for the hips. So you may like to shift, you might like to hold on to something for a little bit of balance, because we're not really doing a balancing posture here, we're just making some mobilization for the hips. So feel free to hold on to something. And just bring your knee up to about hip height, and you can have your other hands on the waist or out to the side, whatever you find more useful, and just begin to make some circles with your knee. So try as much as possible to keep yourself steady on this leg. So having something to rest is good, but you don't want to be leaning on this completely and letting your body just fall over to that side. So. And again, you might want to go slower than I'm going, or go back the other way with those circles. You want to do more or less the same each direction. Good, and then you can place that foot down and then do the other leg. So you could also choose to put your foot down in between each rotation. Take it back the other way. Good, and then bring the legs down, maybe give them just a little shake out. So bring your feet quite close together now, so your knees are together, and bring your hands onto your knees. And then we're just going to make circles now with your knee joints. Circling the knees round. And then going back the other way. Stand up tall. And we're just going to do finally a little bit of work for the feet. So bring one foot so it's on the ball of the foot, so the heel is lifted. And you can just make circles around the ball of your foot. If you can imagine the ball of your foot, try to make as perfect as a circle as you can. So obviously you won't be able to, but in your mind imagine that you're really making a nice, perfect circle. And I like this movement because it really stretches into the toes, into the ankle, but it also goes up into the knee and the hip. And it's also giving a little bit of movement to the sole of the foot. So go back the other way. It's not just working down the ankles, getting lots of other joints involved as well. Good, and then we're going to do the same on the other leg. As you do this, you might like to just have a little look around you, see what you've got around you. Keep your awareness down in your foot, but just also just having a look around and seeing what you can see, what's around you in the place where you are, whether it's inside or outside. Notice, and then take those circles back the other way. Notice what colours are around you. Notice what textures are there. And then we're going to just gently bring the heels off the floor. And then bring the heels down, take the weight, and maybe take the toes off the floor. You might find if you take the weight back too far, you kind of fall backwards. It's okay. Experiment with that. Find out where your limit is. Good. And then come back to standing in Tadasana and mountain pose. And just take another moment to observe. You might like to close your eyes. You just gaze into the distance, softening the gaze, not really looking at anything in particular. And just tuning in to your body and your breath again for a moment. Okay, you can open your eyes again. And we're just going to do a couple of rounds of salute to the sun, just to get a little bit of movement through the whole body. So bring yourself towards the front of your mat, so you've got space behind you. Hold your feet nice and firmly. Take a nice deep breath in, and as you exhale, bring your hands to your heart. Inhaling to raise the arms towards the sky. As you exhale, fold forwards and back. Bring your hands to the floor, bend the knees as much as you need to. Inhale, step your right leg back and grounding on the floor. If you've got sore knee, you might prefer to keep it on the floor here. Hold your breath, lift the back knee and step yourself back into plank pose. And then as you exhale, lower yourself to the knees, your chest, your chin to the floor. And as you inhale now, lift your heart up into cobra, draw your shoulders away from your ears. Gently drawing your belly and your bum. And then press into the floor with your hands, tuck the toes under and lift up into down dog. And I'll show you another version of coming up into down dog afterwards. So just take a few breaths here. You might even like to stretch out the backs of the legs by bending and straightening one leg and then the other. And then really lift high into the sky with the hips. Ground your hands and your feet. And as you inhale, step your right foot forwards. Exhale, step your left foot forwards. Coming all the way up as you inhale. And as you exhale, coming back with the hands at the heart. Take a pause here, take a deep breath in and out. And then we'll do the left side, inhaling, arms up. Exhaling the hands to the floor. Inhaling the left leg steps back. Ground the knee or keep it on the floor up to you. Hold the breath, stepping back into plank pose. As you exhale, lower the knees, the chest and the chin to the floor. Inhaling to lift up into cobra, and your cobra might be quite low down. That's fine, you might not have any weight on your hands. And you might want to come up higher, anywhere here. And then as you exhale, maybe this time coming up into downward dog, or noticing how this feels to you, coming onto your knees, tucking your toes, and then pressing up into down dog. So seeing what works for you, what feels nice for your body in this moment. Stretching out those legs if that feels good. And then really grounding the hands and feet, lifting the hips nice and high. And when you're ready, take an inhale to step your left foot forwards. Exhaling the right foot forwards. All the way up, inhale. And exhaling, hands back to the heart. So take a pause, inhale, and exhale. And we'll start again. Inhale, arms up. Exhaling, hands to the floor. Right leg goes back, inhale. Holding the breath, plank pose. Exhale. Inhale into cobra, low or high. Exhale, down dog. Onto the knees or straight up. Inhaling, right foot comes forwards. Exhaling, left. All the way up. Inhale. Exhale, hands back to the heart. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, hands to the floor. Left leg back. Inhale. Hold the breath. Plank pose. Lower down, knees, chest, chin as you exhale. Into cobra. Inhale. Downward dog. Exhale. When you're ready, taking an inhale, stepping the left foot forwards. Exhaling the right foot forwards. All the way up. Inhale. And exhaling, taking your hands back to the heart. So we'll do one more round of those, so you can go through it. I'm not going to give you any instructions this time. Just go through it, feel your way through it, notice how you feel, which bits you like, which bits you find tricky, which bits you don't like. And when you finish both your right and left side, relax your arms down by your sides and just stand tall for a moment in Tadasana, just noticing all the sensations all the feelings after that practice of saludos is done. And then we're just going to slowly lower ourselves in whatever way feels good for you down onto the mat. So if you would like, you can sit on a slight raise here on a blanket. And we're just going to bring the soles of the feet together. And it doesn't have to be very wide. It doesn't have to be very close to your body. And we're just going to stretch the legs out and then bring them back in. So you might like to support yourself as well. It's helpful if your legs are on a sort of slidey surface. So if your mat's not very slidey, perhaps you might want to put your feet on the floor and even maybe put some socks on to help you slide. We're just sliding in and out, bringing the legs in and then sliding them out. And then this time, bring them in. And sit yourself up tall. So it doesn't matter how close your feet are towards you. So for example, mine are not particularly close. But I'm making an effort to make sure that I can sit up without having to hold on. So if you can have your legs much closer in, but you're having to hold on to keep yourself up, then better to extend the legs away a little bit so you can sit up nice and tall and straight. So find where it's optimal for you to have your feet in so that you can still sit up straight, and then take hold of your ankles or your feet wherever you reach nice and comfortably. And we're just going to move the knees. So as you exhale, pressing the knees down towards the floor, and then as you inhale, just letting them come back to their natural resting position. Exhale, pressing them down, and inhale, letting them release back. I'm just going to do that a few times. And you can control the release. You don't have to let them just bounce back up. You can press them down and then control that release back to where they naturally sit. So this time now, press the knees down and hold them there. And just sit really nice and tall. Watch your breath, keep it smooth and easy. And then we're going to bring the right heel in towards the groin, so it's really close in towards the body, and stretch the left leg out to the side. So you've got a little angle, quite a wide angle going on here. Try and keep the knee and the toes facing towards the sky of your extended leg. I'm not letting it roll either into the middle or out to the side. I find it hard to roll it into the middle. That's not how my leg wants to go. It wants to do this. But maybe yours is naturally in. So just whichever tendency, try and keep it upright. And then just sit up nice and tall here and take a few moments to breathe, to relax, let go of any holding or tightness in the muscles. And I'm going to turn the chest face down over the long lengthened leg, and hands on either side of the leg. And as you inhale, we're just going to lengthen up. And then exhale, and we're just going to round the back slightly. Inhale, lengthen up, Lift the chest out to the back a little. And exhale. Inhale, lengthen out. And this time, instead of rounding, as we exhale, we're going to lean forwards with a nice straight back. And just take hold of whatever you, again, comfortably reach with your arms. So you should be feeling nice and comfortable here. Don't strain yourself. Just breathing, observing. And as you settle into the posture, perhaps you find that there's a little bit of space that's opened up in front of you. And with your inhale, you can gently move yourself into it. But maybe that space doesn't open up. And so you're just staying where you are, be happy where you are, just breathing and taking it easy here. And then we're just going to open up the chest a little. So if you can hold of your left leg with your left hand, just stretch open your right arm and take your chest up towards the sky. You may even like to look up towards the sky. And just take a few nice deep breaths here. Keep yourself just sinking down into the floor. So with your exhale, just releasing your weight down into the floor, giving your weight into the floor. As we give our weight into the floor, we receive that support. See if you can feel that. Get one more breath here, and then with an inhale, lengthen through your body, and as you exhale, pull yourself back down over your leg. Just observe, where are you now? Lengthen through your body as you inhale, and slowly come back up. Just open the leg, come back into Baddha Konasana, the cobbler's pose for a moment. Sit tall here, notice the different sides of your body, observe. And then you can bring the left heel in and stretch the right leg out. Again, just trying to maintain the knee and the toes towards the sky. And just taking a moment to sit tall here. Turn your chest now, facing over your long leg, hands either side of that leg. And we're just going to inhale, lift the chest up, lift the chin up even maybe, and exhale round the back. Inhale to lengthen, maybe arch a little, and exhale to round. Inhale, and exhale. And then inhale, lengthen. Your head don't lift the chest, just lengthen through the body. And as you exhale, move yourself slightly forwards. Keeping the back nice and straight, so it's like you're moving forwards rather than down towards your leg. Taking hold of where you get nice and easily with your arms. And breathing here, just noticing what the body's saying to you right now. Maybe even making a little adjustment if your body says, hey, I'd like to move, this is not feeling so great for me right here, make a little adjustment. And then if you find that space has opened up, you can move into it. And then you can keep hold with your right hand now, and as you inhale, open up the left. Looking up towards the sky, open the shoulder up. And for me, on this side, I don't like looking up. It doesn't feel very nice for my neck. So I'm going to choose to keep my head more in, or my face more in line with my sternum. So although I'm kind of looking down towards the floor, I've not actually got my head turned down either. My face is more in line with my chest, the direction that my chest is in. So this feels better for me today. Inhale, lengthen, and as you exhale, fold yourself back into the leg and see how you feel there as you maybe arrive to and then inhaling, lengthening, and slowly coming back to sitting. And then we're going to bring the soles of the feet together, back into Baddha Konasana, and sitting nice and tall, lengthening up to the spine. And then you might like to take a lengthen, inhale, and as you exhale, just gently bend over both legs. Just pausing, breathing here. And if you find you don't turn very far forwards, that's really fine. You might not move hardly at all, that's absolutely fine. You might be able to get yourself right down onto your feet. So just come up slowly, take your hands behind you, and as you inhale, roll your shoulders back, squeeze those shoulder blades together, and just lift your heart up towards the sky. Just let your legs relax here, let your knees move towards the floor if that's what they do. And just really take some nice breaths into your chest. You've got a nice open chest now. Take some deep breaths now. One last breath. And then relax. And gently slide your legs away from you. Good. So what we're going to do now is, in the same way when we did Baddha Konasana, we brought our legs in like this, sliding them. We're now going to bring them in like this. So bringing the feet up towards your body, but this time letting the knees come together in the middle and the feet go out. So just warming up. For the next position we're going to do with the legs, a cow face pose, formal prasana. Okay, so I'm going to give you a little variation here, because I know some people find it quite hard to do this with both legs. So you can take a pillow or a block, you can do it with a block also, or a rolled up blanket or anything. And this is going to be your bottom leg, the leg that's got the support. And then the other leg, you're going to bring it across and bring the foot as far back towards the heel, towards the hip, sorry. Bring the heel as far back towards the hip as you can. Making an effort to align the knees one on top of the other as far as is possible. So it might be more like this, and that's fine, but that's where you're sort of going with this. So then you can just rest your hands on top of the knee and just sit up nice and tall. So this is the one-legged version of the cow pose. If, however, you're a little bit more easy in the hips in this direction, you can bring the bottom leg and tuck that heel back by the hip as well. And again, in the same way, you just try to align the knees as much as you can on top of each other. But don't worry if you're a bit off to the side, it's fine. Just take it as it is. And again, just rest your hands on your knees for a moment and just pause here and just take a few deep breaths. So whichever one you're in with the one leg or both legs, just take a few breaths now and just pause and notice what you're experiencing. And if you do find this really hard, you may even find that if you have something to sit on, so let's say you have a block to sit on, then that may also help and make it easier for you to bring the legs in, either one or the other. One or both, I mean. So you can experiment a little with this. So now I like to come out of this by leaning back slightly and just releasing out my legs. Looking at the chin. And then perhaps if you did the cushion on one side, and then you can do it on this side, or you can do both. But maybe it turns out that you can do one side with both legs, but the other side you need the cushion. So that's fine, you can do that as well. Sit nice and tall, resting the hands, twisting the knees, just breathing easily, observing what you're feeling in the posture. And remember, use your block to sit on if you that feels comfortable for you. So let's release, taking the hands behind us and just stretching out those legs. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of work on the shoulders. Just if you've got some sort of strap or belt or scarf, you can use this. So take hold wider than your shoulders, but not too wide. And once you've gone up and down a few times, you'll know how to adjust this. So you can do this with your legs crossed, sitting with the legs crossed. You can also do it with the legs outstretched. You can also do it sitting on your knees. You could also do it sitting on a chair or standing. So as we going to have the hands out at about shoulder height or slightly lower, and as you inhale, just bring the strap above your head and slightly behind you, just until you can just feel that little bit of pull in the arms and the shoulders, feeling the shoulder blades squeeze together, and then as you exhale, bring them back down again. And we're just going to do that a few times. So be careful that you're keeping your back fairly straight, and as you come back, you're not just super arching into the back. So just keeping a little bit straight, the arm in the way. So you can see that the back's arching a little bit, but you don't want to really go into that. So that's going to probably make decide a little bit how far you go back with the shoulders as well. And again, you can decide how wide apart your arms. If you find this really easy, you might want to take your hands a little closer. So this time, as we come up, we're going to pause there, with the hands slightly behind, and just pull on one side, keep both arms straight, and then come back to the center, and then pull the other side, keeping both arms straight as much as possible. So again, the torso is not going with the arms. The torso is staying up. And then come back to the center and slowly lower it down. So then you can take one arm up and drop it down behind you, bring the hand so that the palm is towards your spine. And you might like to grab hold of the elbow with the other arm and just kind of lift the elbow up slightly and maybe pull it over, and perhaps you might find that then your hand can wriggle down your spine a little bit more. So as you release that, you might find it bounces back a little bit. That's okay. Just leave it to hold it there with the effort of your arm. And if it needs to come back, that's fine. The other arm, swing it round, and this time the palm's going to be facing out to the back of the hand. And then you just wriggle your fingers, and you might want to roll this shoulder a little bit here. So if you can wriggle your fingers up. And maybe you can touch fingers. I can just about. But maybe not. Maybe you just press your hands onto the back. So maybe you just, I don't know how well you can hear me then, but you might be able to get your fingers together, but you might not. And if you can't, just press your hands onto the back. So the upper hand, the palm is pressing on, and the lower hand, the back of the hand is pressing on. Another thing you could do is use the strap. So you would take the top hand onto the strap and then bring the bottom hand down and take the strap, and then you can work with that. So that's another option. And so just when you've got there, hold it for a few breaths and then release, and we'll do the other side. And the other side you might find it easier or a little bit trickier. So bring the other arm up, bring it down the back, palm onto the back. With this one, perhaps you might like to bring the elbow up and over, and feeling a little bit more here. And then the other arm goes round behind. Maybe the fingers join easier this side, or maybe it's harder. Maybe they don't join at all on this side and they do on the other. And then just breathe into that for a moment. Try and have your head fairly loose and free. You don't want the head to be pressed down. So that might mean that you have to let go a little bit with the hands if you've squished your head. And then we're going to release. And maybe I like to kind of snake out my arms a little bit because it feels good. So maybe give your shoulders a little roll. Forwards, backwards, both together, one at a time. Okay, good. So we're going to come back now to the legs that we did before. This is a cow pose. So take one leg underneath you, whether it's on a cushion or whether it's tucked right underneath, and then the other one on top, just aligning the knees as far as possible. And remember, you can also have a block to sit on. You might find that assists you to get your legs into the position. And then, so whichever leg you've got on top now, so I've got my right leg on top, so I'm going to lift my left arm up first. So take the left arm up, kick it down the back, and we're going to bring those arms into the position we had just now. So bring them in, take the time, stay, pause, breathe. And if the arms are really uncomfortable for you, or you feel like you don't want to repeat it, or you don't want to do it at all, then you can just have your hands resting on your knees or your feet. And then take a nice deep breath in, and as you exhale, just gently fold forward over the legs. And you might find that the hands want to separate a little bit on the back, that's fine. Inhaling, coming back up, releasing it slowly. Maybe do the snaky thing with your arms if you like. Lean back and just shake out the legs. And then bring the legs into the other side. Take your time with it. Opposite arm goes up, so this time for me it's my right arm up. And then the other one goes around to grab the fingers or not, or grabbing, pressing into the back or grabbing the strap. And just sitting up nice and tall, taking a few deep breaths. And as you exhale, just folding forwards. And then coming back up, releasing your arms, giving that little snake out if you like. Take your hands back behind you, and if you like, you can kick your legs. Good. So let's come now back into our seated pose that we started with at the beginning of the class. So if you found that you needed something to sit on, then grab your blanket I've got or a pillow, whatever it is that you would like to sit on, and just sit yourself up on that. And then you can decide how you'd like your legs, whether you want them in Sukhasana, the easy pose, although it's not so easy for everyone, so just because it's called easy pose doesn't necessarily mean that everyone finds it easy. And you may like to bring your legs into the Swastikasana, the heels in line with each other, just tucked, the back one tucked into the groin. That helps to let the knees go down quite often, but it's not comfortable again for everyone, so you can find that. You may even like, if you find the cow face pose that we just did, if you find that comfortable, this is also a possibility for meditation. You may like to sit with your legs outstretched. So whatever you did at the beginning, whichever one you did at the beginning, repeat that one now. And just sit tall. And now notice how you're feeling in this seated pose. Is it feeling any different? Is it feeling the same? Has anything changed at all? Is there anything noticeable that's changed? Notice the breath, sensations in the physical body. Also notice what's happening in the mind, whether you've got a lot going on in the mind, whether it's very busy or whether it's more relaxed. And if you have got a lot going on in the mind, what sort of quality of stuff is going on in the mind? What sort of thoughts are there? And if you're finding that the predominant thoughts are those of worry or anxiety or anger or annoyance, then just be okay with that for now. Sit with that. But also try to transform that a little bit. And one of the ways that we can do that, because usually anxiety or worries or doubt is caused because we're not living in the present, we're not being here and now, we're projecting into the future or we're hanging out in the past. So a lot of stuff comes up from that, things that we can't control because either it's gone before us or it's yet to happen and may not ever happen. So let's practice now in our new seat position of breath meditation. And focusing in on the breath is one of the things that really, really helps us to stay present, to really be present. And it's so useful because the breath is something that is always with us. So it's not like we have to take anything special with us to help us to focus. All we have to do is take the time to focus on it, to tune into our breath. And there we go, we've got our breath meditation ready for us at any time of the day or night when we need it. So just settle yourself in, make sure that you're feeling comfortable, make any last minute adjustments. And then take note of your body. Notice, are there any areas of your body where you're holding on to? And quite often you might find that those areas are perhaps in the hips or the belly, maybe the shoulders or the jaw, or even across the forehead. So just notice those areas. Those are the most common areas. They're not the only areas where we hold tightness or tension, but they are the most common areas. So just take a moment to sit with that and notice. And if you have got any tightness there, just take a moment to try to release and soften that. And you can do that with your exhale. As you begin to feel your body softening, you're also beginning to come into the present moment. So really now taking your awareness fully onto your breath. And beginning to notice how the breath feels as it comes into your body. And if possible, try to always breathe in through your nose. So if you breathe out through the mouth or out through the nose, that doesn't really matter. But if possible, breathe in through the nose. So just notice your pattern, your rhythm as it is right now. And now let's begin to gently control the breath. The breath is one of the automatic responses of the body. It keeps us alive, that we can actually take control over. So let's just take control over our breath now and choose to take a nice deep breath in. And then choose to exhale it out long and slow. So inviting the breath in through the nose. And allowing it to release out either through the nose or the mouth. Can you notice expansion on your inhale? What do you observe as you inhale? And what do you observe as you exhale? Is there a sense of release, relaxation, a sense of softening, letting go? Just keep watching the breath. Inhaling into that sense of expansion, of acceptance. Breathing in something new. And exhaling as feeling that sense of release, of letting go. And also a sense of grounding, a sense of your weight really digging into the floor. Feeling yourself digging weight into the ground as you exhale. And as you give your weight into the ground, what do you notice? Can you feel a sense of support coming back from the ground? What happens in the mind? Is it possible for you to stay focused on the breath? Or perhaps the mind is strong and wanders here and there, taking you away from the focus of the breath. And if that happens, that's okay, it's fine. Just know that this is a process and that that's going to happen. So each time it happens, just be grateful that you've realised, you've noticed, and gently bring yourself back to the breath again. Try not to become frustrated if this happens many times. Just keep bringing your awareness back to the breath, back to the body, back to the present moment. And you can continue on with this breath meditation for as long as you like. But for today, we come to the end of the class. So I invite you to bring your hands together in front of your heart. Perhaps to remember your intention that you made. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Namaste.